Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking. It means a lot. You guys keep clicking. If you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making. And who is this first boot going to be? I have absolutely no idea, but I'm going to take my best crack at it. If you're watching this after the first episode has airs, you can tell me down below if I was right or wrong at the end of the video. But I think I got it right. I'm pretty sure I have a good idea of who is going first, or at least a pool of people who I think have a good chance to go first. And so, without further ado, let's go through it. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff because it's free, it's easy, and it really helps the channel out. Okay, so the first boot candidate that I want to discuss is the person that I feel like has kind of turned into my Shan already before the season has even started, and that's Carla. I think that Carla's personality, as far as what I've seen, is maybe what she's going to show to the people on the island. And if that's the case, she's not going to have a good time. I think hopefully for her personality that she's shown online since the filming of the season, and on top of that in her pregame interviews, is not her real personality, or at least the one that she's going to show to her tribe mates. Because if it is, then she has absolutely zero chance. Because to me, not only is she not self-aware, but on top of that, she has this arrogance to her that I feel like would be off-putting, especially with someone living with her 24/7. On top of that, she doesn't really show any strategical prowess. She never talks about her plans in her pre-game interview about what she's going to do to get power in the game. Is she going to play an under the radar game, an aggressive game, a social, a strategic game, a physical game, which is kind of a joke? I mean, it's Carla. I mean, come on. I don't really see much coming from her as far as gameplay wise, so she's going to have to be well liked, which I think is also kind of a really funny joke. Like, there's no way that she's walking out of this season being the quote unquote fan favorite. If she is, then I'll bite my words, but I've been right for the past 2 seasons about the players that I thought that about. And so I think for me, the first person that comes to mind for first boot has to be Carla. The second person that I have this weird feeling about is my boy Sammy. I mean, Sammy should be my favorite to win the season since he's the closest in age to me. But I feel like my issue with Sammy is always going to be that age, right? The age is always a worry when you're a literal teenager with people who are full-grown adults. You're just not at the same spot in your life. Screw the whole you don't have life experience part of it, but just the fact that you're not at the same stage of your life as people like for last season, Drea and Hai and Lindsay. I mean, you're just not there yet. And so not only can you not relate to them because of that, but on top of that, they can't really relate to you, and so they can't really connect with you the same way that they can connect with each other. That's not even mentioning the downfalls of being that young strategically as far as his jury chances. Who's going to want to give $1 million to a 19-year-old with no family? I mean, he may have a great story, but the mom or the dad who has kids, mouths to feed at home, are you really going to give the $1 million to Sammy over someone like Neca? Another way that this may hurt him is with his social game, right? How is he going to manage all these social bonds with the lack of life and social experience that he has? He hasn't had to really go through life, have a career, have to deal with a family. It's hard for him to manage all of these bonds. To me, that's very, very difficult socially. Strategically, no one's going to really want to follow a 19-year-old in the game, right? He's going to have to play a more under-the-radar game, which I guess isn't the worst thing in this new era where people who don't really play the game that hard at all end up coming and swooping in for the win at the end. But I think in the end, it's not good for his game as far as the aggression goes in his game. He needs a strategical resume, and I don't see him incurring that unless he plays the game more aggressive than I think he will play the game. The third person that I wanted to mention was Neca. I think Neca is going to have an issue really mainly with the fact that her demographic, the older lady on Survivor, either gets all the way to the end and loses in about 3rd place, or gets taken out right before the end in that like Janet type of spot. Or, and really the one that happens a lot of the time, they're a very early pre-merge boot, if not the first pre-merge boot. You look at the lady from the start of HHH, just kind of gets booted out very quietly, or like Mariah from last season early on, just gets booted out very quietly. It's not loud and flashy like Zach's flame out from last season, but it just happens very, very subtly. And I feel like the biggest issue with that is they usually don't fight hard enough. When you're in that archetype of team mom, it's kind of hard to play the game aggressively, because if you do, people don't really see you as that motherly figure anymore. It's a tough trap to be in, but again, you're on Survivor, so can you really complain that much? But I feel like not only that, but the fact that she's not one of these built moms who's super buff. You know, she's not in the best of shape, which may hurt her, especially on a season where the players going in have seen the past 2 seasons in this new era, and they're expecting no swap, and they're actually right. And so I think the players in this season thinking that there's no swap will really, really value that pre-merge strength, because they won't be waiting for a swap to come, you know, just around the corner during that pre-merge era. And so I feel like it's a big deal to have that strength, and she does not give you that strength. That's not mentioning the lack of strategical element to her. I feel like she's not going to have that killer instinct. I don't see people following her. I think she's going to be a follower in the game if she can even get far enough. But I think in the pre-merge especially, I could totally see her getting picked off, booted out, just as the easy boot, that Abraham type of spot in her cast. Another person for me that is also a worry is Jay, someone who I feel like is more on the weaker side personality wise, but I could totally see him getting himself into trouble. So he's not too weak to, you know, just never even play the game, be a complete goat, but I could see himself kind of playing that Jacob Derwin role, where he is aggressive enough, he knows how to get in the game and start to get power, but he doesn't know how to handle that or to get out of tough situations as far as the social element of the game. I could see him being well studied as far as the strategy, but I don't see him having a very good social game. And in the end, the social game, as boring as it may be, is the most important facet of the game. People are human and emotional, and that's just the simple fact of it. On top of that, I don't think that he's going to manage the physical element of the game. He doesn't seem like the most in shape person. And again, like I said for Neca, you know, with a cast that's coming in expecting no swaps, and they're right for the season, they're probably going to value that physical strength pre-merge and not be waiting on, well, let's not go after the physical liability in case we swap. You know, let's actually, you know, go for a big blind side. I feel like that's not going to happen. They're going to go for easy boots early on, which may not be fun to watch, but it's just the case simply. And that easy boot may just be Jay, for social reasons and also for physical reasons as well. But what do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. Who's your first boot pick and why? As always, none of this happens without you guys. Without you guys, I'm sure we're guys being a weird microphone. So as always, thank you. And if that's it, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.